the day I found out I was pregnant. My husband's first love posted a wedding invitation on her social media post with a caption, "Finally marrying my dear Marcus. A belated wedding." I liked it and commented below, "How touching. This must be true love." My husband Marcus saw my comment and called, yelling at me, "I already told you it's just a grand wedding ceremony with her. We're not actually going to officially marry. Can you stop making such a big deal out of it?" He seemed to have forgotten the vows he once made to me. That's fine. This time, I was truly letting go. I shredded the pregnancy test results I just picked up from the hospital and threw them into the trash can. I had suspected I was pregnant before, but Marcus always said, "Your period is often irregular, so don't overthink it. I'll be very busy lately, so don't cause me any trouble." Marcus was indeed very busy, leaving early and coming home late every day, looking quite worn out. It wasn't until I saw Tiffany's social media post that I realized he was busy preparing for the wedding with her. He came home quite early today, though. Seeing me sitting silently on the couch, playing on my phone, he came over and put his arm around me. "Is my wife jealous today?" He knew exactly what he was doing, yet he still asked. The thought of Marcus and Tiffany taking photos for their wedding invitation while I was anxiously waiting for my examination in the hospital made me feel sick to my stomach. I shifted away, breaking free from Marcus's embrace. "Didn't I discuss this with you? Since it's something you agreed to, who are you throwing a tantrum at now?" His tone instantly became impatient. His discussion was nothing more than an announcement. I never agreed. My hand rested on my stomach, thinking of the tiny life growing inside. There was still a sliver of hope that he might actually respect my wishes. "You're so selfish. You know Tiffany is sick, and I don't even expect you to help take care of her. But that passive-aggressive, petty comment you posted, my friends are all laughing at you. You're making me look ridiculous." He stopped holding back, pointing at my nose and venting all his frustrations. "I even left fragile Tiffany and came home this early just to endure your emotional abuse. When I married you, I thought you were kind and sensible. I never imagined you could be so cold-hearted. I'm going back to the office to sleep tonight." He didn't even want to be in the same room with me. He just slammed the door shut and left. I was momentarily stunned. I tried to stop him with trembling hands, but he simply pushed me away. I didn't believe he went to the office. He was undoubtedly going to see Tiffany. Tiffany, Marcus's first love, claimed she had a terminal illness and wouldn't live much longer. Her last wish was to have a wedding ceremony with him to fulfill her regret, and Marcus readily agreed. This was the man I'd chased for years, only for things to finally fall into place. He just turned me from a doormat into a long-term backup plan. At that moment, all I wanted to do was curse myself for deserving this. Marcus didn't come home all night. I sat alone in the living room, making the firm decision to abort the baby. After making an appointment, I drove out. While waiting at a traffic light, I suddenly saw Marcus's car parked next to a bridal shop. Instinctively, I drove to the entrance of the bridal shop as well. Inside the bridal shop, my husband Marcus was looking at Tiffany, who was wearing a wedding dress, his face full of happiness. "Tiffany, every wedding dress suits you perfectly. You truly look beautiful." When he saw me walk into the bridal shop, he immediately frowned and looked at me. "Grace, what are you doing here? Are you stalking me? Or did you hire a private detective to investigate me?" I never imagined his imagination was so wild. He certainly thought highly of me. "Grace, are you here to try on wedding dresses with me too?" Tiffany said to me in a friendly tone, as if I were her best friend. "This wedding dress is quite beautiful. Is it the one you'll wear on the day of your wedding with my husband? He has great taste, but it's a shame he didn't come with me to pick out my wedding dress when we got married. I had to choose it myself," I said with a sarcastic sneer, and Marcus looked quite flustered. "Grace, don't act crazy here. Let's talk about this at home." As spoke, he reached out and pushed me towards the exit. He used some force, and I cried out instinctively from the pain. "Grace, don't put on an act here. Tiffany is frail and can't handle being startled. Whatever you want to do, wait until we're home and take it out on me." Marcus shielded Tiffany behind him, as if I carried a plague that would infect his precious darling. "Grace, I know you blame me, but could you please, for my sake since I'm dying, let Marcus and me be? I just want to be his bride, even if only for a moment at the wedding." Tiffany spoke with such faint affection that Marcus was once again filled with emotion. "Grace, don't make me use harsher words on you." Marcus gave me a final ultimatum in a warning tone. I fought back tears. If I told him about the pregnancy, would his attitude be any different? Seeing his look of disgust towards me, Yet his careful protection of Tiffany, I was certain nothing would make him change his mind. Marcus, thank you for helping me make up my mind. I shouldn't be here. I turned and left the bridal shop, heading straight for the hospital. The abortion was quicker than I expected. I walked out of the hospital, touched my stomach, which seemed unchanged, and knew that some things could never be undone. After returning home, I casually opened my social media post and saw Tiffany had posted a new update. She took a photo of herself in the wedding dress in the mirror, and in the shot, Marcus was gazing at her with doting smiles. What clever framing! Marcus commented below, my little princess and her knight in shining armor. And Marcus's sister, Brenda, also commented, even back then, I thought Tiffany and our Marcus were a perfect match. This photo only confirms my feelings. I knew Brenda had never liked me, thinking I wasn't good enough for Marcus in any way, but openly supporting her brother's affair like this, they really are two of a kind. I immediately posted the abortion receipt from the hospital on my social media post. Brenda was the first to comment below my social media post. Is your upbringing to secretly have an abortion behind your husband's back? Seeing her impolite tone, I replied directly, and is your upbringing to praise your married brother and another woman as a perfect match? Marcus started calling me frantically, and I, like him, simply refused to answer. Next, my mom called. I hesitated for a moment but answered. What's going on, Grace? That social media post of yours, you're joking, right? I grew up in a single-parent household. My mom raised me alone, and she isn't a fragile person. Before, I felt ashamed, so I never dared to tell her about Tiffany, but now that things had come to this, I no longer needed to hide anything. I briefly explained the situation to my mom. Susan, I want to come home. My mom said to me decisively and firmly, I support your decision. Come home. I'll always have your back. I was deeply moved. With my family's support, I hung up the phone, packed my bags, and drove straight back to my mom's place. Marcus came home that afternoon, found I wasn't there, and sent me a message. Where did you go? Shouldn't you explain this to me clearly? At the same time, I had also drafted a message and sent it to him. This was probably the last time we'd have such unspoken understanding. Marcus, let's get a divorce. I'll give you the right to pursue true love, and you give me back my freedom. Next, Marcus sent me over a dozen voice messages, each lasting dozens of seconds. I couldn't even be bothered to transcribe them to text. Who wouldn't find so many voice messages annoying these days, especially from Marcus? Still, since divorce was on the table, I answered Marcus's call. Grace, come home with me. I don't blame you for impulsively aborting our child. Whatever it is, we can talk it over calmly. He hadn't spoken to me so patiently in a long time, but what remained unchanged was his unappealing tone. Seeing my indifference, he continued to try and win me over. I truly couldn't help it with Tiffany. She's a poor woman with a terminal illness, and all she wanted was to have a wedding ceremony with me before she died. I was emotionally manipulated into it. What else could I do? It was a shame he couldn't see how deeply affectionate, caring, and doting he was when he faced Tiffany, all while portraying himself as a victim. He was truly being a hypocrite. If it's because of my sister, she always speaks without thinking and is too straightforward, but she's not a bad person and means no harm. She's older, so you should be more understanding with her. Right. His sister was foul-mouthed and malicious, but she was just a straightforward but misguided sister. It was true that I fell in love with Marcus first. He didn't even notice me at the beginning. It wasn't until the night Tiffany got married that he called me and asked me to meet him. I stayed with him all night as we talked in the breeze. After that, he and I grew closer. But now, looking back on our time together, Tiffany's shadow was everywhere. His phone gallery contained photos of Tiffany that he refused to delete. He wouldn't take me to the restaurants he'd visited with her. While I lay at home with a 104-degree fever, he could pick up a drunken Tiffany, acting as her husband. For years, I lived in Tiffany's shadow. Even after Tiffany's husband unexpectedly passed away and Marcus helped her with everything, he still tried to comfort me, saying, I just feel sorry for her. Grace, now that I have you, I'll know where to draw the line. And then he was proven wrong very quickly. Marcus thought I was using the divorce as leverage to make him cancel his wedding with Tiffany, but he still made a concession. Tiffany and my wedding can be postponed. We can hold it once you're able to accept this. I retorted bluntly. Does your Tiffany have a long enough life to wait for me to accept this? Grace, the old Marcus would never have tolerated me. but he still swallowed his anger and said, "My sister also wants to invite you to dinner and apologize to you." I paused, then said after a moment of hesitation, "I accept your sister's invitation, and make sure to invite your brother-in-law and Tiffany too. The more, the merrier." Marcus thought I had given in and jubilantly agreed. The dinner was at a restaurant, and Brenda booked a private room. I arrived first, followed by Brenda and her husband, David, and then Marcus and Tiffany. They were all in pairs, and I felt like an outsider there. It's all my fault. I should just find a deserted place and die quietly, causing so much trouble for everyone. Tiffany acted pitiable as she spoke. "Don't talk nonsense. You're such a wonderful girl. Fate is cruel." Brenda seemed very fond of Tiffany, siding with her in everything she said. "Silly. Don't talk like that." Marcus, even more concerned, took her hand and gently squeezed it. I coughed lightly twice, making them realize I was the focus today. "Grace, we've had many misunderstandings. I'm just a straightforward person who speaks my mind, so don't take things too personally. I also hope you can be more forgiving. Women should support each other. If you were in Tiffany's shoes, wouldn't you do the same thing she did?" Brenda seemed to be having a fit of moral superiority, but it was just because she'd always looked down on me, thinking I wasn't good enough for Marcus. Tiffany certainly has it tough, having a terminal illness and still managing to wear such exquisite makeup every day. She can even get abortions, too. The moment I finished speaking, everyone at the table was dumbfounded, especially Brenda's husband, David, who immediately stood up. "What?" I smiled, looking at the two couples before me. By this point, there was no need for me to hide anything anymore. The day I found out I was pregnant, I saw Tiffany having an abortion at the hospital. The person who went with her was my brother-in-law, David. So, Brenda, your whole family are truly philanthropists. Your brother is responsible for giving Tiffany a wedding. Your husband is responsible for giving Tiffany a child. And what did you give her? Your full support? I had held this in for a long time. Even earlier, I knew Tiffany was a huge player, and Marcus was just a pawn in her game. I had mentioned this to Marcus, but he didn't believe me at all and said I was just envious of Tiffany being popular with men. "Nonsense, you don't have any proof," David vehemently denied. I shrugged. "The day Tiffany had the abortion, I saw you paid the medical fees with your phone. Do you dare show everyone your payment history from that day?" David's face suddenly went pale. Even if I paid, that doesn't prove it's my child, does it?" I glanced at Marcus and Brenda, who were still standing there, dumbfounded and processing what had just happened, and replied to David, "That's right. It might not be your child. It could be someone else's. Brenda will surely believe you 100%. After all, she's not like me, not so envious." Brenda's first reaction was to grab David by the collar and confront him. David shoved her to the floor, and in response, Marcus landed a punch squarely on his face. "How dare you hit my sister?" Marcus and David scuffled, and the platters on the table shattered on the floor. Brenda sat on the floor, wailing in pain, while also cursing David. Tiffany stood in the corner, stunned, watching everything unfold, caught between a rock and a hard place. "I'm not fortunate enough to be part of such a benevolent family. That blessing is all yours," I said to Tiffany. The incident that day caused quite a stir. The restaurant immediately called the police, who took them all in for questioning before releasing them. A few days later, I saw Brenda posting some resentful messages on her social media post, even threatening to disown Marcus. She didn't get a divorce. Instead, she blamed Marcus for bringing that scheming woman Tiffany into their home. Marcus, however, defended Tiffany, saying she was just helpless after her husband died and made a mistake in the heat of the moment. I drafted the divorce papers, consulted a lawyer for a reasonably fair division of marital assets, and wanted to sever ties with Marcus as quickly as possible. I sent the electronic divorce papers to Marcus, but he simply replied with one sentence: "I won't get a divorce. Everything will proceed as planned. After I have the wedding with Tiffany, I'll compensate you." This man was truly a prime example of being shameless and despicable. I told him, "Since you refuse to divorce, I'll have no choice but to file for divorce. I won't agree to a divorce. Your chances of winning the first lawsuit aren't high, so I advise you not to waste your money. Come back to me. I won't blame you for ruining my relationship with my sister. We can still live a good life together." I had consulted my lawyer, and it was true that the chances of winning the lawsuit weren't high, as Marcus said. However, His insistence on having a scandalous wedding ceremony with Tiffany might be a turning point for me. Either we divorce, or I charge him with bigamy. I still had many personal items at the place Marcus and I used to live. I'd packed in a hurry last time, and since we were getting a divorce, there were some things I still wanted to take. So, I decided to go back and get my belongings while Marcus wasn't home. When I opened the door, I saw Tiffany lying on the sofa, crossed her legs, eating snacks and watching TV. The living room was dirty and messy because of her. Was this the Tiffany who supposedly had a terminal illness and was frail? She didn't react immediately when she heard the door open, but then she leapt up agilely from the sofa. Only after seeing it was me did she relax. This isn't your home anymore. You're trespassing, and I can call the police. Tiffany was completely different from how she was in front of Marcus. She pouted like a defiant brat and sat back on the sofa. My name is still on the deed to the house for this place, and Marcus and I haven't finalized our divorce. So this is my home. You're the one trespassing. I didn't want to get further entangled with her. I just wanted to quickly get my belongings and leave. Seeing me walk further into the house, Tiffany stood up and grabbed me. Who allowed you to come in? Still not satisfied, she poked my shoulder with her finger and snarled aggressively, trying to intimidate me. You disgusting bitch. I hadn't even come looking for you, and you showed up yourself. Who told you to be so meddling and expose everything about David and me? Your husband is madly in love with me. He cheated on you, and I cheated on him, but he doesn't blame me at all. Looking at Tiffany's deranged, twisted expression, I actually felt a bit of gloating pleasure at the thought of Marcus having to be with this kind of woman from now on. Then I wish you both love each other till old age. You and he are truly a perfect match. Please just be stuck together and don't cause trouble for others. Tiffany was very displeased with my attitude and directly shoved me. I've disliked you for a long time. You always have to pretend to be weak and frail in front of Marcus. But today you picked the wrong fight. With that, she suddenly grabbed my hair, trying to slam my head against the nearby wall. I reacted quickly, too, enduring my hair being ripped from my scalp. I squeezed her wrist hard and used her own momentum to tackle her to the ground, pinning her down. She cursed me with foul language while flailing her arms and legs, punching and kicking at me. Suddenly, she spotted a craft knife on the coffee table nearby. She immediately grabbed it, intending to harm me. I quickly dodged aside, but Tiffany missed and accidentally stabbed herself as she fell to the ground. Blood streamed onto the floor, and I was startled by the sight. Although her injury didn't look severe, she was bleeding nonetheless. I threw her phone from the sofa to her and said, "You lunatic. You reap what you sow." Whether she called 911 or Marcus, I didn't want to be in the same room with her. That crazy woman was terrifying. Shortly after I got home, the police suddenly came for me, asking me to go to the police station to cooperate with an investigation. When I arrived at the police station, the police told me they had received a report that I had injured Tiffany. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I quickly explained that it was purely self-defense, and even Tiffany's injury was from her missing me and accidentally injuring herself. The ones who reported the incident were Tiffany and her boyfriend. When I heard the police say that, all my anger surged. When reported the incident, did she mention that our house has a security camera? Marcus's thoughts were always on Tiffany. He never cared about any new items added to the house. I often spent nights alone and was a bit scared, so I installed a security camera in the living room, but for aesthetic reasons, I hid the camera in a potted plant in the corner. I had also mentioned this to Marcus, but he apparently didn't remember. I took out my phone, pulled up the security camera footage, and set the time to just before. The footage clearly showed Tiffany provoking me repeatedly, then trying to harm me, and how she accidentally injured herself. Looking at the irrefutable evidence, I asked the police how they would handle Tiffany. Since I wasn't injured, the most likely outcome was that Tiffany would be penalized with detention. That's good. The wicked must face consequences. 2 days later, the police station called me to sign a document, and I happened to run into Marcus. When saw me, he rushed forward, yelling excitedly, "Grace, you are so malicious. You set up Tiffany and got her sent to detention." Ha! He was clearly speaking Chinese, but I couldn't understand him. Tiffany has a terminal illness. A few days in detention could practically kill her. She's usually such a meek and gentle girl. You must have used some provocative tactics. The police officer next to him couldn't stand it anymore and interjected, "Mr. Chen, as MS. Joe's husband, shouldn't you be siding with her? We've already shown you the security camera footage MS. Joe provided." It clearly shows Tiffany initiated the assault. And Ms. Joe didn't even act in self-defense, merely avoiding Tiffany's harm. Unfortunately, Marcus paid no attention to the officer's helpful explanation. You've all been deceived by her. The security camera footage is on her phone. It would be incredibly easy for her to tamper with it, maliciously edit, or Photoshop it. This is a complete setup. If you claim I framed Tiffany, you should have proof. Marcus, if you slander me without proof, I will sue you for slander. I completely lost my patience with Marcus. I was already consulting a lawyer about the divorce, so I wouldn't mind paying an additional lawyer's fee to sue Marcus for slander. The officer then remembered something and said to Marcus, Mr. Chin, we conduct a medical examination before detention. Tiffany is in good health and has no major illnesses, let alone a terminal illness. Marcus had been arguing with me, but upon hearing the officer's words, he instantly froze. Tiffany herself also admitted that she doesn't have a terminal illness. I didn't expect such an unexpected bonus. Watching stand there like a clown, I couldn't help but shake my head. Congratulations, Tiffany doesn't have a terminal illness, so you two can love each other for a lifetime. Marcus posted a message on his social media post. His wedding with Tiffany was cancelled. My divorce case against Marcus was also filed for divorce in court. My lawyer also tried to mediate with Marcus to see if a settlement was possible, but stance was resolute, he wouldn't divorce. He started feigning affection on his social media post every day, reminiscing about our time together, making anyone unaware of the truth think I had abandoned him. I heard Tiffany tried to win him back after she was released. Marcus used to dote on Tiffany like a simp, but now their roles were reversed. All I wanted was to cut ties with these two quickly, but even when I offered concessions on the asset division, Marcus wouldn't give in and adamantly refused to divorce. Grace, this time, let me pursue you. I yearned to go back to how we used to be. Marcus often sent me these sappy, cheesy declarations of love. I was foolishly blinded and wrongly trusted that woman. Tiffany, Grace, can you please forgive me and give me another chance? For the sake of our unborn child? It would have been better if he hadn't brought that up. As soon as he mentioned it, I felt a pang of deep sorrow. After all, that was a part of my body, and with his casual remark, I was reminded of the sadness and helplessness I felt at the time. How about we try for another baby? From now on, my eyes will only be on you and our child. I won't look at those other problematic women anymore. Of course, I didn't believe any of Marcus's statements. Previously, to send the security camera footage from my phone to the police, I had exchanged contact information with a police officer. He was quite responsible. On the day Tiffany was released, he told me she was out and that I could contact him if anything happened. I had a strong impression of that officer that day. Although his face was serious, it was clean and handsome, and I remembered everyone called him Ryan. Okay, Ryan. Out of politeness, I replied with a message. Soon, he sent me back a blushing little boy pouting emoji. It was quite cute, just like him. Marcus finally agreed to mediation and asked me to come home to discuss asset division with him. My lawyer happened to be busy that day, so I went ahead to discuss it with Marcus first. When I entered the house, I saw Tiffany was there too. What is she doing here? I froze for a moment, instinctively taking 2 steps away from Tiffany. I've talked a lot with Tiffany recently, and she realized she shouldn't have interfered in our relationship and apologized to me. So, I asked her to come this time because I thought you should also receive her apology. Marcus walked out, and it seemed he wasn't planning on divorcing me after all. My stance is firm. This divorce is definitely happening. I don't need to accept Tiffany's apology because, apart from our last scuffle, I have no other grievances with her, and she has already been punished. I was a bit angry that Marcus had tricked me into making a wasted trip, but directly grabbed me, preventing me from leaving. Grace, every time I want to discuss this with you, you avoid it. This time, can we face each other and talk things through properly? Marcus glanced at Tiffany, who quickly nodded. I did deceive you all. I don't have a terminal illness. It's just that after my husband died, I was incredibly lonely. So I thought of Marcus. He used to like me so much, but he rejected me on the grounds that he was married. So, I wasn't reconciled. Tiffany stood by, speaking in a wrong tone. Marcus instinctively felt a pang of sympathy and couldn't help but gently rub her head. You silly girl. Sure enough, a leopard doesn't change its spots. Marcus's protectiveness towards Tiffany was ingrained in him, even if there was a place for me in his heart. After all our time together, he could never resist Tiffany. I sighed, still needing to reiterate. If you called me here just to show me your lingering feelings, then there's really no need. Marcus, if we can't come to a mediation, then I'll see you in court. The moment I finished speaking, out of the corner of my eye, I saw Tiffany, who had been feigning helplessness, suddenly adopt a fierce and terrifying expression. She pulled a sharp object from her pocket and stabbed at me. I had always been wary of her and quickly dodged aside. Marcus wasn't so lucky. He thought I was leaving and rushed forward in a few steps, trying to grab me, but when I dodged, the knife in Tiffany's hand plunged directly into Marcus's lower body. Ah! Marcus's agonizing scream rang out. Witnessing the bloody scene, I quickly called 911 and then, without hesitation, contacted Ryan. Although hated me, she still cared more for Marcus. The ambulance quickly arrived, taking Marcus to the hospital, and Ryan arrived at the same time. Are you hurt? He glanced at the paramedics loading Marcus onto the ambulance, then quickly came over to check if I was injured. I shook my head, and he finally breathed a sigh of relief. It's you again. Ryan saw Tiffany standing nearby, looking like a startled deer, but he wasn't falling for her act. Tiffany tried to follow Marcus into the ambulance, but Ryan put handcuffs on her. Tiffany, you need to come with us. The 911 paramedics called out to us. Is there a family member for the patient? I hesitated for a moment, then answered and followed them into the ambulance. Marcus was rushed to the emergency room. When he was wheeled out, he was still unconscious from the anesthesia. I quickly asked the doctor about his condition. Are you his wife? The doctor gave me a difficult look. I corrected him. Ex-wife. His lower body sustained severe damage. He might not be able to. Is he remarried? I glanced at Marcus, who was being wheeled to his room, and said flatly, his new wife is probably being questioned at the police station right now. It was quite pathetic. Marcus was seriously injured and hospitalized this time, yet his sister Brenda didn't even come to see him. My sister is so petty. She still won't speak to me because of the incident with my brother-in-law. Marcus lay in bed, looking very wounded. I shook my head helplessly. After all this, Marcus finally gave up struggling completely. He knew divorce was inevitable, and with his current condition, he had no way of holding on to me anymore. As for Tiffany, he could endlessly forgive all her past actions because what she did before hadn't actually harmed his interests. But this time, Tiffany caused Marcus to lose any chance of having children in the future, and possibly even the most basic aspects of a man's life. I'm going to send her to jail. Last time, she tried to kill you but failed, and only getting a few days of detention was far too lenient for her. As soon as the topic came up, Marcus immediately became very emotional. Yes, yes, yes. I couldn't be bothered to say much more to him. Seeing him sign the divorce papers, I finally let out a long sigh of relief. Take good care of yourself. The future holds much promise. I was about to happily leave with the divorce papers when Marcus called out to me. Grace, did you ever hate me? He lay in the hospital bed, asking me pitiably. Seeing him looking so dejected, like a defeated dog, he was nothing like the spirited, confident, sunny young man I once knew. I loved you, and I hated you, but you're just a passing chapter in my life now. Marcus, I can say I lived honestly every day I was with you. I have no regrets and a clear conscience. So now, I'm free. Watching the light fade from his eyes, I turned away, not wanting to linger any longer. I just wanted to get away from this man as quickly as possible. The farther the better. After a while, Ryan told me Tiffany had been sentenced. Marcus showed no lingering sentimentality, even thinking the court sentence was too light. He kept arguing in court that it was only fair to respond with an eye for an eye. Listening to Ryan's description, I couldn't help but chuckle at Marcus's comical appearance. This matter has finally come to an end. Speaking of which, I should thank you, officer. When heard my teasing tone, his expression became a little more serious as he said, my name is Ryan, and you keep calling me Ryan. Ryan, as if I'm your boss. I burst out laughing. After divorcing Marcus, I smiled more and more often. Grace, will you lose faith in love because you met a bad man, and never want to date again? Ryan asked me. I'm not a foolish person. I cut my losses as soon as I realized Marcus wasn't good. So, I won't let meeting a jerk like that make me dismiss all future possibilities. Ryan nodded thoughtfully. What? Do you have some profound insight? I tilted my head, asking him. Ryan suddenly blushed and stammered. I was just asking. I told you, I'm not a fool. Besides, your little secret is already written all over your face. His face blushed all the way to his ears. Watching his flustered yet earnest expression, I suddenly felt that the future holds much promise. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any thoughts about this story, feel free to share them in the comments section. Here is Roses and Love, sharing stories about marriage and women every day. See you tomorrow.